So let's go ahead and pull up a couple other videos here real quick. Let's go ahead and add this lovely individual.
Dr. Monica Joy Cross says, how do we fix this? This is a persistent problem. Are there answers?
So answers to the whole violence, the assassination.
The answer is not to allow the hateful rhetoric to find the audience that it finds. I mean, one of Charlie's last tweets that I read was a video clip of him. I think in that clip he talked about you and said, Muslims are like bringing an ideology and teaming up with trans and like socialists.
Ilhan Omar, have you seen your entire career?
Yeah, it's like
that's all you do. That's all you do. You team up with the extreme left. That's all you do. And I mean, just imagine what she just said. Charlie Kirk completely accurately described everything I've been doing my entire political career. And what did she say? Shouldn't be allowed to say it. That's some creepy stuff. The solution is to not allow the rhetoric of the person who just got murdered. And so I guess he shouldn't be allowed to call out Islam, say things about Islam. It's very interesting. The main thing, even besides like doing away with freedom of speech, the main thing with me is just that no one is ever consistent with this. What she actually means is you can't criticize Islam, but we can say whatever we want. Because if you were actually serious, hey, you should do away with hateful rhetoric. The Quran's got to go. The Hadith have to go. Tons of Muslim preachers have to go. They should not be allowed to speak. Why? You've got a book that calls Jews and Christians the worst of creatures. You got a book that calls for a violent subjugation. You've got a book that says don't be friends with us and so on. Let me put it this way. If Charlie Kirk said the sort of things that the Quran says, but he said it about Muslims, not about Jews and Christians, they would be using that as, oh, what an evil man. This is the worst person ever. And those quotes, if he had just said things that the Quran says, but he said them about Muslims and not about Jews and Christians and polytheists and so on, those would be the quotations that people would be using to show what a hateful, disgusting person he is. And so it's just, I mean, think about what she's saying. The solution here is shouldn't be allowed to say these things about Muslims and so on. Shouldn't be allowed to criticize. It's this hateful rhetoric that leads to these sort of things. We should be the only ones allowed to say these kinds of things. Crazy. It's absolutely insane. And she's a congresswoman.
Unfortunately, she is of my state, so that's kind of tragic. But on the topic of yeah, I didn't vote for it. On the topic of comparing things that the Quran says about disbelievers, and then saying if we were to apply that, but apply it to Muslims, they'll cry foul. Touching on what Sneeko was talking about earlier about how this is wrong, but he's living in cognitive dissonance, what his morality is telling him versus what Islam is saying. In the Quran, Surah 5:33, it says the punishment of those who wage war against God and his apostle, i.e. just, against Islam, and strive with might and main for mischief through the land is execution or crucifixion and other horrible stuff. But the Bible in Proverbs 6, verses 16 and 17, there are 6 things which the Lord hates. Yes, 7 which are an abomination to him: haughty eyes, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood. And so if you are saying this is a righteous deed, this is a good thing that a man was publicly murdered, this is not of God. And for Muslims to say, oh yes, an enemy of Allah has gone down, it is in line with what their book says and demonstrates that it can't be the true God who's behind the Quran at all.
It is actually very sad if you watch a little bit longer of that interview. She's justifying and then she's stating that Charlie Kirk downplayed George. I forgot his guy's last name.
Floyd.
Yeah, he downplayed that, and then he was like opposing June 10th or something. Like she's kind of giving reason after reason because of these views of Charlie Kirk. What do we expect? It's like I'm just listening these things. I'm just saying, yeah, this is like getting very similar to UK now.
Well, talking about the UK,
Logan,
not
it's
the only
actually a
one.
fruitless enterprise because there's so many different stakeholders of it and all the things that we just mentioned. If you know that, then what is it then? You should know that there is a limit to what you can and can't say or should and shouldn't say in terms of self-censorship. There should be a limit to that. Because if you know that, okay, well, if I say this about this group of people, I'm putting myself in danger. This is an advice to myself. Like me, by going out and speaking about Islam and the Gazan genocide and the Rohingya genocide and the Uyghur genocide, there are so many enemies to me, right? I understand that that carries a risk. Okay, but especially when you talk about politics and religion, you understand that that carries a risk. From our perspective as Muslims, we have this concept of martyrdom, which people, once again, they distort this concept, which is that if you die in this context, like someone shoots you or something, then you're a martyr. You actually are a martyr. The Prophet ﷺ said it himself that whoever dies protecting his wealth or self or his family, etc., he's a shaheed, he's a martyr. And so this idea for us is, that's what gives me comfort. Okay, that somewhat if I go out like that, it's fine, no problem. I mean, I get to the highest level of religious, ranking. Okay, but what I'm trying to say to you is that there is a heavy taxation for all of us, influencers across the world, wherever your politics is.
So this is Mohammed Hijab's latest video that he put out, where he continues to attack freedom of speech as if it's something that could never possibly actually exist, as he's using freedom of speech to be able to post this video. So, and then he gives to and I think I rewound a little bit too far, but he gets to the point of where he's actually going with this assassination, and he's got a lesson for all of us to learn.
And whatever your religion is, yeah, there's a heavy taxation for taking and agitating to a certain level. There's a heavy taxation. If I go far enough, there's going to be people who want me dead. There are things I could say online that would make people want to shoot me and stab me. I've probably said those things already. But that's why.
Just clarification. I, as someone who disagrees with Mohammed Hijab, do not want to stab or shoot him. Just clarifying.
Do not hide behind this idea of freedom of speech. Freedom of speech, in your understanding, cannot, it's not just that it does not, it cannot exist. Because there's always going to be a group of people who are criminal and who would like to take the law in their own hands, and their cost-benefit analysis is always going to be that it's favorable for them to do so. And so what this thing about Charlie Kirk's murder has shown us is that even if you are connected to the political administration, the political elite, to Donald Trump, to the establishment, you cannot be safe. You cannot be, there is no safety. Okay, there's no safety. And if we know that, then at least what we should do is we can offer our disagreements with people that are political and religious adversaries or whatever it may be. But there has to be, we have to temper, or we have to be a bit careful not to go too far and not to create societal division. Because this will be one of many murders, by the way, if we continue, if the far right growth continues, because the far right is inviting the far left now to respond. And it's going to become, it could even become a civil war in your country if it continues in the United States.
Yes,
Right.
How terrible to invite people to respond. Okay, continue.
And that's what the far right in this category was doing, was inviting people to come have a dialogue. That's what he's saying is too far.
If this continues for many years, it could actually become somewhat of a mini civil war. The only way to stop that is to realize, okay, well, actually, we need to all respect one another. Don't go too far. The far right can't
Hijab
can't
saying
come
don't
out
go
and
too
speak
far.
the way that they're speaking against ethnics and against racial minorities and against religious minorities and Muslims, because eventually this is going to be very bad for everyone. Okay, the far left can't respond in that way as well. If this continues, it's going to be very bad for everyone. That's the lesson.
So if we speak out against Islam, this is the result, is what happens here. And, it's justified because we spoke bad and we didn't obey that limit. And welcome, brother.
Hey, good to see you all. Good to see you all. Wish it was on better circumstances, but good to see you all.
Absolutely. Real quick, do you want to give a rundown on who you are and why you're here?
Sure. I'm at his humble servant 3239. I'm on YouTube, and generally my mission is to ensure that everybody knows, or to hope to lead people to know Jesus Christ is their Lord and Savior, and that they read His Word. And again, my name is right at the bottom of my picture, and that's what I do. So you guys are talking about the recent Charlie Kirk situation, and thought I would come up as well, which is very sad.
Absolutely welcome. Yes. So, yep, we just looked at Mohammed Hijab's response, and of course that is in line with
Dr. Monica Joy
back
Cross
up.
says, how do we fix
This lovely lady here. Being very nice. Which
We didn't. We didn't.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say we didn't quite finish Hijab's thing, though. I think it got real worse right after that.
Well, we'll go ahead and pull that on up then.
From this. And another lesson is, if you want to speak about politics and religion, then know that this is the ultimate price that any of us can face at any time, and there is no protection from it with Allah's will. But as Muslims, the greatest protection is the idea of martyrdom itself, and that, to be honest, is a beautiful thing. Wassalamu alaikum, and I hope you understand that I'm not advocating for anything particularly. I know people are going to be taking this out of context, but I don't care anyway. I've said what I've said. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
He said something similar to that a couple years ago when he was giving a talk, and it was a talk about Israel, and they cut it at an awkward point where he was really going too far, and all of a sudden the video abruptly ends. But he was saying that he's basically saying, Muslims, we love death, and Jews, they love life, and that's a weakness for them, because if we are obsessed with martyrdom, then we're just way more dangerous than they'll ever be, and that's why they're going to be at a disadvantage throughout all of this. But he seems to be along the same lines there, that their belief in martyrdom makes it easier for them because they believe they're martyrs, and yes, their false prophet convinced them that if they die while slaughtering unbelievers in the name of Allah or something like that, that they spend eternity deflowering virgins. And I guess if you're stupid enough to believe that, then yeah, you will feel fine about dying.
I don't know how can such statements be made so openly and they continually get away with them. Like I'm assuming, pretty sure Hijab, I thought he was in the UK. Like, I don't know about the laws over there, but how can you? I've always tried to figure that out when I watch so much that happens from all of your guys' great work. How can you get out there and post things like that or say things like that? Not even finish your legal cover up too and go, well, I'm hoping nobody's whatever. I'm just going to say what I'm going to say. And like, there's nothing that occurs. I don't understand.
Oh yeah, Hijab has said all kinds of things that if it was said by a Christian about Muslims, that Christian would be locked up pretty instantly. But they can say these things freely. Like his partner in slime, Ali Dawa, I mean, years ago posted a video telling the apostate prophet that, hey, as soon as we get the political power, we're going to execute you ex-Muslims. We're going to execute you apostates and so on. Now, AP was actually like, how can he do this? I mean, they lock people up all the time over there for saying things that can be perceived as hurting other people's feelings and so on. This guy's saying, yeah, we're striving for an Islamic state. We're going to execute all you guys. How can he get away with that? So he actually contacted the authorities. People contacted YouTube. YouTube said, well, we're not going to interfere with, spirited debate. And it's like, we all know if I had said that about Ali Dawah, hey, as soon as I got the political power, you guys are dead, I'd be banned in a heartbeat. And if someone in the UK had said that about Ali Dawah and so on, that person would be arrested in a heartbeat. But it's Islamophobic to not let them get away with any of this stuff.